All right, we'll go ahead and call the January the 24th, 2011 Public Safety Committee to order. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of last month.
So moved.
Got a motion to have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion has carried. Before we get started now, well, most of the departments are here, and hopefully some of them may be in the green room watching TV. But February is the month that we normally do our budgets. And what I would like to do is kind of throw out a plan here and see if the committee and the departments are interested. On the February 28th meeting, which is a normal meeting for our Public Safety Committee, I would like to offer and see if y'all are in agreement that the Emergency Management Agency, PAWS, Juvenile Detention, and the Ambulance Service do their reports and budgets that night. And I know, Mr. Good, your report, we could do that same night because you're not going to be presenting the budget.
No, we're not.
That way, we can kind of split this up, because I normally, the Public Safety Committee's budgets, it presents for a long night. And that way, if we split up the departments, it usually helps us. Now, on February 28th, on the March, either the 3rd or the 14th, I think the 14th might be a better date, giving time for Mayor Burgess to work and discuss with the department heads on the budgets for some of these other ones. Correctional Work Center will be that night. Judge Donna Scott Davenport, the District Attorney's Office, Domestic Violence, and I tell you, excuse me just a minute, Fire and Rescue would be back on the 28th. But Judge Donna Scott Davenport, the District Attorney's Office, Domestic Violence, the Work Center. Am I leaving anybody out? Well, and that's usually a bigger budget that it takes. If we can do, is the 14th okay with everybody on that?
I'd rather do it on the 3rd personally, but
You'd rather do it on the 3rd?
that'd be,
Well,
I'll go
I actually
along
had the
with
3rd and, either one's fine with me.
3rd would work better for me too.
Me too.
It would? Okay, I'm hearing the 3rd then, okay, if that's what, okay, March the 3rd. Okay. I know you got wedding bells sometime pretty close to that, don't you?
The 19th.
The 19th. All right, so March the 3rd, we'll do that for those departments. Now, if you're scheduled for, not scheduled, you don't have to show up on the other one. It's just whatever night you're scheduled. That way you don't have to meet 2 different meetings. All right, is that okay with everybody? Now, on the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff, if you would, you want to let me know when, I know a date that your department might be ready where I can get with the committee. And I meant to call you today, but I've been at the hospital and different places and hadn't had a chance, so.
I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
all right. How's that for everybody? Is that a plan that we can live by and agree on?
I think so.
Okay, all right. All right, with that being said, we'll,
And it's 5:30.
5:30, yes, that's a good point there, Commissioner. All right. With that, first on the agenda, and Laverne Rescue Squad, you want to come on up?
you gonna throw me in there?
Yeah,
Didn't know if I was going to have to report or not, so
oh, yeah.
I figured
You're the only
standalone.
standalone rescue squad that we got now.
Some of these are printed backwards in the first two or three, so I apologize for that. But this is a yearly report for the rescue squad. We had 31 medical assists, vehicle accidents 217, water-related, mainly during the May Day flood. Can't imagine anybody remembering that, right? It was 13. 3 fire-related, 4 search, 730 standbys, 38 business meetings, 43 training sessions, public relations 38, 47 other. We had a total of 1216. Total mileage was 45,021. Total man hours was 21,911. And our average response time for the last quarter was 5.92 minutes.
Anybody have any questions?
I've got one. Do you put out a card or calendar when you have your ham breakfasts? Because I've missed a couple I'd like to go to.
I do, as a matter of fact, somebody else hit me up with that today. Our next one will be, I think it's February 14th, Saturday.
Second
Oh,
Saturday.
boy, I'll pay the big price for that one.
Yeah, that means 12.
12. It is.
Valentine's Day's on Monday.
Give me your email address and we'll send it to you
I'll
that
send it to
way.
you, absolutely. Or you want me to
I
send it to-
know.
Or you may send it to the county's site.
Either way.
Here,
But
write it down on here and I'll send it to you.
Is there any other questions? If not, entertain a motion on his report.
Motion to approve.
A motion got a second and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
All right.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
You too. Next is ambulance service report. I believe you got the report, in front of you. All right, go right ahead, man.
We made 1,775 calls for the month of December. Average response time, 7.9 minutes. We had 40 coroner's calls and 16 autopsies. We billed $1,046,855, collected $424,661. That puts our year-to-date collections at $2,812,068, with a projection of $5,624,136. We had insurance write-offs of $287,398, collection agency write-offs $86,405, and county discounts of $4,491. We had vacancies and temporary shutdowns as listed there in the second part of that table. Table at the bottom of the page is the mileage and cost per mile and total operating cost per ambulance. We drove a total of 35,516 calls. Our ambulance maintenance budget is actually going down a little bit. I suspect that has to do with the 4 units that we put into service in the fall. We had a total of 460 out-of-zone calls.
Question back up on the north end supervisor vacancies. That meant that 11 days out of the month that the supervisor had to be covering some center somewhere in the county.
Either they were off or they were covering for the assistant director here. That's what they did.
Okay.
December, a lot of ladies get vacation, I imagine. That's why.
Yeah, those 6 people basically kind of work together to determine that, but you're right.
Look, is the total number of out-of-zone calls, is that up? Yeah, I thought it
The
was.
problem with the out-of-zone calls is the hospital.
Burton.
Is that-
Burton Street.
The Burton Street, when it had a hospital in its zone, so they were never really out of the zone.
Right.
But now they have to go across town. So Salem Road and MTSU are feeling the pinch, and actually Manchester Road, because they have to come in and cover the other two.
Yeah. I thought that number was up.
On the next page is the in-services and training, all those are listed for you there.
Mike, I've got one question. Why wouldn't Blackman cover before Manchester Road? They seem a whole lot closer coming to town than,
They're probably closer coming to town, but primarily what ends up being covered is MTSU zone, which is back toward
Okay.
Manchester Road.
that makes sense.
MTSU actually has the larger zone. Next page is the response time report. Actually, MTSU made 2 more calls, or 3 more calls than Burton Street did this month, which is unusual, but the 3 stations that have the most call volume are Burton Street and MTSU and Salem Road generally. The transport team made 47 critical transports, and they also made 78 911 calls, so they fill in a little bit there too. Calls broken down by district, Commissioner Young still leads that race, and I suspect will continue to do so, both for the month and the year.
You better get them out there jogging and stuff.
Back of that page is the same information except for the year. We have some thank you sort of notes. Terry Cunningham attended class, and she is now certified to be a public information officer. Of course, Randy White does that primarily for us, but occasionally if Randy's out of pocket, then we have somebody to cover that.
Any questions on Mike's, the report?
How do weather conditions affect y'all? When severe weather is what I'm talking about.
Actually, they affect us. The first snowfall that we had, actually, we had 2 or 3 snow-related, weather-related calls, but for the most part, we made the same number of calls, but they just weren't weather-related. That changed with the last Friday and the ice. It was quite a bit different, so. And we had a lot of them on that. Of course, it slows us down just like everybody else.
And it makes it busier too whenever, especially during peak traffic times.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the report? If there's no questions, entertain a motion on the report.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now, got a budget amendment?
I have 2 of them. The first one, we received $20,000 from the Emergency Communications District, that's the E911 office. Those funds are actually given to the Emergency Communications District by the state, and it has to do with the collection of the tariff on the cell phones for 911 service. And that is specifically reserved for dispatcher training. It can also be used for backfill for dispatchers, as long as it's related to training. the way that we have to do this is we have to transfer that money into in-service training and then put it into our part-time personnel accounts because that's where the backfill came from. We're requesting to transfer $11,000 into that in-service line item. And we're also requesting to transfer $8,330 into the part-time personnel line item, which is how much we paid for training.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Our discussion. Hearing or seeing none, call the roll.
Okay, you know there's a second.
Those together?
Two-sided, no, I didn't.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. All right, you got a second on
The
that.
second one is related to our collection service. We took RFPs earlier in the year and awarded a collection service contract to Mars. We're going live with that program beginning February the 1st. And they'll be doing all of our collections for us. They guaranteed us I can't remember the figure, Mayor, was it 12%? 12% increase over our current collections. But we have to pay them. The way this works is they send all the money to us and then we pay them for collection. That just makes it easier to track and make sure that things go the way they're supposed to go. So Lisa says that we need to transfer this money. What she's done here is increase our collections and also increase the other contracted services. That's for, actually she put down for January 1st through June the 30th, which would get us through the rest of the year.
I got a question. Y'all are doing this in-house now, right? How many personnel are? Two. What's gonna become of those personnel?
First of all, they've got about a little over $1 million to back collect, and then we've got HIPAA compliance and all those things that we're supposed to be doing that we are giving small service to right now that need to be done.
So they still got enough
Yeah,
people?
they've still got enough. Plus, they have to still check all this and make sure it's all complete before they earmark it for collection.
Okay.
So how does the collection agency get paid then? They get a percentage?
They get a percentage of what we collect, of what they collect.
Collect. Okay,
But
and how delinquent are those that are turned over to them? Are they
This
3
is-
months
no,
old?
This is brand new, so they're gonna
Oh,
do, it's kinda like.
they're
some of
gonna do the whole
physicians.
thing? Okay.
Right. We pay them 5% of what they collect. They have guaranteed us that we would still see a 12% increase in our collections.
So say if you collected 5 million last year, they would guarantee 12% over 5 million, and they.
About $60,000.
Are we using this company, have we ever used them before?
No. And we're actually the first big ambulance service in the state of Tennessee to use this. Marion County uses them, but Marion County is a very small ambulance service. And I suspect that the reason we got the deal that we did from them is that they needed a big ambulance service so that they could get their footprint in Tennessee. They collect quite a bit in Texas and other states. They're based in Kentucky.
You didn't mean 60,000, did you? You meant 600,000? If they,
Yeah.
that they'll increase it, definitely. Okay.
I'm sorry. This is it.
That's a,
Thank you for catching that.
I just had to get it square up here, I'll tell you. Okay.
Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the 2 budget amendments.
Got a motion?
The second budget amendment, excuse me.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. All right, open up for discussion. Call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. Is that it?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Paul's report. And I think that's in front of us too, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, there it is.
How are you?
Good, you doing all right?
Yes,
This is
sir.
the same amount of original money.
I have Lena come on up. She's a field supervisor. Leader. This is our December report. Had a total of 487 intakes for December. There's the breakdown of percentages where those animals are coming from. Under adoptions, we had 140 adoptions for the month, 281 animals put to sleep, 40 animals reclaimed by the owner, 3 animals that died. Those were 2 of those were injured animals that were injured when we picked them up and they didn't make it. And then 490 total out. Adoption reclaim rate 37%. Euthanasia rate was 57% for December. Numbers are pretty close to what they were December '09. Our intake was lower, but the adoption reclaim percentage in euthanasia was pretty close. It was at 39% adoption for December '09 and 58% on the euthanasia.
On the reclaims, are you getting many repeat offenders?
Sometimes, not as much as we used to get. We used to have some that would be in there back to back. I think in the last few months, I can only recall a couple that were, and one in particular that was in probably 3 times within the 60-day period.
Yes, that's correct.
On the next page is our calls received. We had 1,033 calls received for the month of December. Total calls completed 1,047. It's due to some carryover like trap calls and things that were able to be closed out and follow-up calls. That was about 300 lower than December of '09. And the percentage of where those calls are originating from. Below that is the officer mileage for the month. And then on the next page is going to be the fiscal to date since July 1st through the end of December. A total of 4,279 animals come through our facility, 835 adoptions, 2,865 animals euthanized, 250 reclaimed by an owner. Total out was 4,315. Adoption reclaim rate 25%, euthanasia rate 66%. And we've had a total of 13,300 people visit the shelter since July 1st looking for a lost or new pet. On the next page, calls received since July 1st, that's 7,602, with total completed 7,680. And then you have the mileage below. The last page is the bite report for December. The bites are tracked on a calendar year. For the month of December, we had 25 bites reported. 8 of those animals were tested, none were positive. On the other rabies exposure, 2 reported, 2 tested, no positive. From January of 10, we had a total of 397 bites reported, 138 tested, 3 positive. All of those were unsatisfactory results, which the state counts as a positive. On the other exposure, we had 56 reported, 52 tested, and 8 of those were positive. A couple of those were due to unsatisfactory results.
Any questions on the report? If not, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do we have a second? Second. And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I had some calls this past weekend concerning our leash laws and our being responsible pet owners and nuisance with, I guess, allowing their pets to go on other properties and doing their business. Is there any way that your all's department could maybe do some kind of public service announcement on Channel 19 and kind of make people aware of what the leash laws are in Rutherford County and such, those things such as that?
We can definitely look into that. We'll talk to OIT and see what we can work out.
Okay. All right.
Very good. The only other information I have, and we don't have all the numbers in yet for the rabies vaccinations that were done in 2010. All the vets haven't turned in their final counts, their final books. But so far, as of last week, there's a total of 46,062 animals that are licensed in Rutherford County. 36,535 are dogs, 9,489 cats, and 38 others were vaccinated in 2010. So hopefully in the next month or so, next month or March, I think usually by March we have the final total. So
Okay.
we should get that information for you.
Any questions? That all?
That's it.
Thank y'all.
Have a good night.
You too. Correctional Work Center. How you doing now?
What's that?
Yes, sir, I believe it's in front of us.
Okay. First, couple of pages covers the last board meeting we had. If you go back to D, report of expenditures, we covered, it's a couple of budget lines we're gonna need to amend at some point. That was dealing with, maintenance and repair of building and maintenance and repair of equipment. We've had some issues there, some food service equipment getting broken or need to be repaired, and then building issues, had some issues with the central heating air systems and stuff like that, so it kind of put us back on those two budget lines there. Discussed the renewal of the jail tracker system. That's the program we use to do all data entry stuff and all our computer inputs system. Do a one-year contract with that company, Digitech. They're out of Kentucky. Also a books and blanket program we did during the Christmas season with inmates. They went pretty great. Dealt with reading a book on audio tape and writing a letter to their kids. So that was a good program there. And a couple of services we conducted in grade. That's pretty much what was discussed at the last board meeting. Go to the yearly report. You see our census was down a little bit in December, but it's been steadily going up since the beginning of the year. And currently today we're at 177, I believe. And programs back online again, from the Christmas break. DUIs are up. We're getting to do a lot of those. We're doing about 3 a week now, 3 trips a week, so that's really helped us out. So all the other programs are going pretty good there. Attendance are up. And the last report is the worker report. Pretty much reflects the daily crews that go out, the man hours, and the money being saved by using the inmate labor for the month of December. And you can see the total was $111,000.
I got a question. On, like, there's some days you got 12, 15, 13, 11, 12 crews, and then there's some days you only got 1 or 2. Is it,
Those days normally reflect the weekends.
okay, so that's weekends?
Right.
Okay,
And then during the week, when the numbers are up, it's the weekdays.
okay.
You know, when the numbers are low, that's reflect the weekend.
Is that like the trash pickup for DUI offenders and things like that?
That, and sometimes solid waste, they usually come out and get crews on weekends.
Okay.
So that's why you see that number.
Back on the head count,
Yes.
December was way lower than any other month of the past 6. Now, does that mean one or two things? That we've got more law-abiding citizens in this county, or that they are, the non-law-abiding citizens are are doing felonies instead of What do you think? Or what do you attribute it to? Is what
I was a combination and just getting through the classification process once they get arrested and go through the courts and then go through the classification before they get to us. So sometimes it just takes some time, in that time of year.
they're out on Salem Highway longer than
Right.
for a while.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what, I think December was kind of low due to, mostly for those reasons.
On your programs and religious, is that the number of inmates that attended? I guess they could attend 5 or 6 different programs throughout the month, but that's the,
Right. The total counts of them is actually attending the programs, and we do programs every day, religious programs especially, so including weekends, so that's why you see those numbers. Usually, and they're pretty steady, they usually stay pretty high. We do, the churches and the volunteers that come in really do a great job, and inmates participation is up, so it's a good reflection on the volunteers.
Any more questions on his report? If there's none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the report.
Is there a second? We have a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. We'll skip the sheriff department and go to fire and rescue.
Skipping fire and rescue.
Put him at the end.
All right, come on up, Ocean.
I didn't realize I was skipping. Sheriff's Department.
All right.
The first sheet is just a monthly rundown of my activities for the month, and we do have a signed contract for the county fire station. He is in the planning stages of the drawings at this time. I contacted him after the Thursday full commission meeting and asked him if he would go ahead and draw up a contract for the Fossville Midland Station. So he should be providing us with a contract for the mayor to sign to provide those drawings and Fossville Midland.
Fosterville
Midland
and
Station. Well, we've already got the contract for the county station. The mayor's already signed that and issued that to him. So we should be getting one for the Fossville Midland after he went through the full commission.
okay.
So as soon as I get that, I will provide that to the mayor. He can get that in motion. Also, just one more thing, I've set it up with the Tennessee Fire Commission where at least once a month I'm having them come down and we're providing the practicals and the written examinations for fire certification for any of the county firefighters who are wanting to pursue that, to get that certification, because most of the time they have these practicals and written examinations during the week, and most of the volunteers, have weekends off, and that's the only time they're able to take part in that. So we're having them on Saturdays. Had one, matter of fact, we had one the 15th was the HMO, the hazmat practical, and then the 29th we're having a written test for them to test that, and in February we're going to have the HMO Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 practicals. So we're just making it a lot easier on them to be able to move along their fire certification if they so desire.
Got here, met with the architect concerning the county fire station design. When are you anticipating breaking ground on that?
It depends on whenever he you know, we go through we get the complete drawings and go through the bid process of bidding it out. And the way it's going right now, probably middle of summer. I really, I can't give you a straight answer. I really don't know.
Okay.
It just depends on when he gets back with us. We have met with him to go over the floor plan, me and my assistant chief, and we made a few changes, and he was good with that. So he's just now starting to finalize everything. Plus, I'll have to meet with the electrical engineer on how we want things laid out. I carried OIT to the stations Thursday to let them look at the station as far as getting their infrastructure and as far as their internet and their county system in there. So we toured the stations Thursday on kind of give them a heads up of what we're anticipating.
Anybody have any questions?
Of course, the next one is the motor vehicle accidents. You'll notice down at the bottom, we had 2 extrications in December. Since July 1st, Commissioner Young had asked me this, since July 1st, we've had a total of 19 actual extrications over the county. We had checked with Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne, and their numbers were not nearly as high. Of course, we're covering a lot more territory too, but that's a total of, to date, 19 that we've actually cut on. Response time was 7.8 minutes. It's a little bit up from last month. But if you'll notice, we had a few of them there that was on the Wilson County line, so we had a pretty good traveling distance to get to those.
That 7.8 is better than the 25 and 30.
We had 15, 17.
It was before.
Of course, the next page is the consolidated fire water report. Training hours.
Has the training hours went up since we went into the agreements with the other departments?
We provide training every Thursday night at one of the 3 stations. And then, of course, this last week, we've had a extrication training class going on. It was a whole week long. We've actually combined our rescue instructors with the sword instructors. And so we've got a team of 5 instructors here putting on the extrication training, plus a paramedic who does basic first aid. That's part of that training class.
Anybody have any questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Is that it? All right, thank you. Emergency management.
Good evening.
Let's see. What happened is there? Okay.
Nothing to report out of the usual for call volume, nothing outstanding or beyond normal for our calls recently. The only thing of significance that I have attached to the report is the formal approval of the hazard mitigation plan from the federal government down to the state for received today. So that is complete with the county proper, the city of Murfreesboro, county of Smyrna, and city of Laverne. We're pending town of Eagleville. They should have their commission meeting on the 27th, and approval should be forthcoming. And then we'll attach them into the plan as well, and they'll be added. Also, I received notification today. This is not in your printout. I got this late notice, but we will be getting an addendum to the 2008 Homeland Security Grant. There have been some reallocations of funding out of Trousdale County back into the UASI. Rutherford County will be receiving a little bit over $275,000 and change that will be allocated towards communications out of that grant. So more than likely, the next public safety hearing that we have, I'll be having some paperwork from the UASI
Is that in addition to?
in addition to what we're already working. We're going to have to move very swiftly with this when we get the paperwork down and run it through the process, because we have to have all this money spent by the end of this fiscal year. So as soon as the money is allocated and the grant reallocation is signed and brought down, then we'll send it up through the process of budget and the commission meeting.
Does that money on communications have to be spent on interoperability or?
Has to be spent on communications. The bulk of the funding was made available for Trousdale County in the communications realm. It has to be stipulated for that same discipline. So they're moving communications funding from Trousdale to communications funding in general. Rutherford County's slice of their share is that allotment, which is $275,000.
So with that $275,000 plus what we were getting before,
Yes.
do we know what we're going to be purchasing with it?
Still pending. We've got some planning parameters to look at to see what our objectives are. And more than likely, we'll be driving our objectives based on what hasn't been complete out of past requests.
Where you've got the mayor's recommendation on the communication towers that's out there still. Has all that been funded?
I don't know to what respect on the other towers. I know there's some projects that are pending. So, you know, that may be a feasibility there to put that into that function. So I have to look at, see what the priorities are and what hasn't been covered yet.
I think they went back to the 2008 discussions they were having priority-wise and have selected more or less those items that they weren't able to fill back at that point in time. I think that's how the committee has approached that.
May have any questions on his report? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Run into Roger Allen up here at the courthouse the other day. Looked like he was doing well.
He's doing remarkably well. Thank you for asking. He's sneaking out of the house. He'll tell his wife. He got a little cabin fever from being pinned up in the home. He has a final meeting with a surgeon on the 27th and is hoping that he gets clearance to come back to work at least part-time. And I know he's eager to get back into the swing of things. So.
Well, he looked good those days, so wish him well and a speedy return.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And ladies.
Thank you.
Drug court report. Don't see her here. Anybody see her outside? Juvenile detention report. And I think that's in front of us.
Good evening, and I have passed out that report. It's for the month of December, and there's nothing unusual. Most we could talk about is that Robertson County is over our usual 5,000, but it's just because they had a big month. We don't see any problems collecting that, but other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does anybody have any questions for Lynn? By the way, I appreciate that email as a reminder, but I'd already been in touch with Vicky.
I just wasn't sure I was going to be able to get here in time to
Yeah.
say anything.
If there's no questions, we'll entertain a motion on her report.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
OSHA report. And it's in front of
Maybe record time.
I have several things tonight to present to you. First off is the monthly report for the month of December. We have a total of 16 injuries that require medical attention. You can see the breakdown for that. For the year-to-date, we had a total of 210 being from January 1st of 2010 to December 31st. Of that, 141 were total recordable, 54 had restricted days, 32 lost claim days, and 55 all others. Next page, you can see the depiction of that, the graph for the year, for the whole year, for the last 2 years, 2008 and 2009. Of the 16, we've incurred a total of $28,600 for the month. 10 of those were broken down for the Board of Education. The Board of Education incurred $24,400. The County General had 6 claims that incurred $4,200. Just kind of a big recap for you, the next page on that. I went ahead and put together a 4-year review for 2007 and 8. Those were both under the Tennessee Workers' Comp, and 2009 and 2010 under the county's OGI program. And you can see, kind of go across and look at that for the Board of Education, the County General, and the Highway Department. If you look out there at the total last columns to the far right, 2009 and 2010, we have had a reduction in claims for 2010 by a little over 13% from last year. Claims are down. Of course, I'd like to caution anybody on the dollars incurred, because incurred dollars are not, haven't been fully funded or matured, I guess is what I'm looking for this year, 2010, that just finished up. So those dollars could change a little bit. But those other years are pretty well firmed up by now.
So what you're saying in 2010, they're still total incurred.
Total incurred was $423,139 at this time.
So that all of them been closed out.
No, not all of them been closed out. That's what I'm saying. They're still maturing for this. Because obviously, the ones that happened in the month of December, you know, some people are still seeing the doctors at this time.
That's what the reserve level is for the number of claims that we have.
Okay.
So,
Seems like you're doing a pretty good job keeping these numbers down. We've got more employees than we do in '07, and we're down $1 million in claims in that short 4-year time. That's pretty good.
I credit to a lot of different things. Training is a big issue. We keep putting training out there, making people aware of it, of what's going on. Awareness with the safety awards. We just recently reached into the Board of Education, and we had our first award for safety recognition into the Board of Education in the month of December. Went out in the newsletter, and to identify people, you know, trying to, again, create awareness for that, along with the ones going on in the County General. And so it's been very good. Hopefully we continue to keep up this awareness and
Yeah, I think all of our constituents would like to know that we've saved the county $1 million in 1 year over a 4-year period there. I mean, it just shows that it's a good investment on that training.
Well, under the old system, though, you got lawyers involved in that a lot easier than you do now, which
that is true.
But the last column shows something I think we've been working on, and, with the safety department and all that, and that's the amount of claims that they are.
And the other thing, too, I mentioned, I think the severity of the claims are down. In the past, we've had some severe claims that have been very costly. We've not had a lot of severe claims, fortunately. And I think that, again, goes back to awareness, people, training, those types of things.
Well, not only was it $1 million, it's actually probably a couple million.
That was just $1 million difference between 2007 and 2010.
Just know that there are still some additional things going on, settlement costs that would get kind of to previous years. But the thing you have to remember too is we went into the OJI, we added the long-term disability program to the county, which we didn't have before. So when you bring those dollars back into this, it does add up a little bit for the cost of the long-term disability that covers the individuals who are out of work.
Right.
It pays in for time missed, so. But these are actual dollars paid out on the claims that you're looking at.
With putting that back in there as far as the long-term disability, what is the guesstimate as far as our savings, if it's not $1 million, do you have an idea?
The premium level on that, I don't know what the exact dollar is, but long-term disability is cheap. I mean, it's just a cheap product, so you wouldn't carve off much of that $1 million savings even when you calculate that
So
premium back into
we're
it.
still pretty much at
Absolutely.
scaring $1 million to death in savings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would like to just also show you at the end of the year, the end of December, we have to put together our OSHA Form 300A, and it has to be posted by February the 1st. I've provided you a copy of that. It's already been presented to the mayor and his signature, and it should be in all the county buildings at this time. We sent that out, but you have a copy of that also in front of you, of the 300A form. Also, TOSHA visited us in the month of December. They came out and visited the sheriff's office and the solid waste department. It was a good visit. In the day that they spent with us, they only found one thing that they wrote a citation for. And it's one of those things that it's very difficult to protect against simply because of the fact that it's things that get moved. It was something sitting in front of an electrical panel, and they cited us because something was sitting in front of an electrical panel. Same thing happens with fire extinguishers when you have somebody who brings a bread rack or something and they stop and it's, well, you walk by in front of it today and it's there today, and 5 minutes from now somebody's moved it and things like that. It was classified as a non-serious violation, and it was basically corrected the same day after they left. But of course, they still cited us for it. I've provided you with a copy of the letter and the abatement actions, and even a picture of the citation. If you look on it in the top picture, you can see where something was sitting in front of the electrical panel and how they just moved it out of the way, and it was taken care of the same day. So we've had that taken care of and corrected. Also, when they came to visit us, one of the other things that they asked the county to do, the county presented a resolution on our endorsement of safety within the county, and the resolution that we have on file with OSHA was dated 2002. Actually, it was done in June of 2002, and they've asked us to update that, our being the county's commitment to safety. You have a copy of the old resolution that was done in 2002 in front of you, and we're going to be bringing that to the county commission to have it restated at the next county commission meeting. So it will be basically an update of what you see in front of you as far as the resolution.
Do we need to, we're going to need something not to send it?
What we're going to do is restate this exact document. It's a requirement of TOSHA that we have the document updated every 5 years. Nothing changes from a logistical standpoint of the document other than the date itself. So the document, the way you see it prepared tonight, is what we need a motion made on.
So the only thing,
In the county commission. It just needs, it is an exact replication of this document brought current today.
different names, dates, and
Right.
has this been through our county attorney's office?
We would have prepared this. Right, this would have been prepared by them as an initial
Okay.
document.
The laws haven't changed in that span of
No.
time, have they, to affect them.
And as Dan indicated, it's just a document that says that we have a safety program in place and we have a commitment to the employees of the county that will follow safety
Right.
protocols, procedures, and so forth.
So you need a motion to, with this same language, the only thing we're gonna change is, county clerk's name, the county mayor's name, and the
Yeah.
dates.
That's correct.
Will be the only thing changed. Is there, what's the will of
I'll
the
make a
committee?
motion to update the resolution to establish an occupational safety and health program and make it current.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
And a second. In discussion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion has carried. Got a copy of this? Okay.
And the last thing I bring for you tonight is we've had some proposed changes to the on-the-job injury program, and Melissa wanted to address some of that. We could just,
The program, this will be in its third year, and I know that we've had one modification to the program since inception. And continually, we are revisiting reports, processes, et cetera, to see how are we doing two things. One is making the program easily accessible to our employees, and secondly, achieving the goals of the county. And lastly, are there modifications that we can make to set forth those two goals that we just mentioned? And one of the things that we have identified is kind of the process in which we were obtaining information could be changed to make it more beneficial to us as the administration of the OJI program and to the employee itself. Before these, or as it is today, the supervisor has a certain level of responsibility. The employee has to access the supervisor. The supervisor then prepares the report and submits it to our office. What that was doing was creating a delay at times in us receiving documentation about the injury itself. And our first and foremost goal is to identify those injuries and to get treatment for the affected employee. So we've revised the language to separate those two processes so that the employee will have greater access into the program. The second thing that this does, by having the employee do their report directly to us, and then in turn we will contact the supervisor, is it causes the supervisor to do their own evaluation. In reading documents, you can see that the supervisor, the way they've worded it, often they received information from the employee themselves. Tell me what happened. The employee does a self-report. It's documented, almost same verbiage as the employee report, and sent to our office. What we'd like to have is have the supervisor actually do a evaluation of what did happen, and that helps to achieve workplace safety. When they go out and they actually do their own evaluation, then at that point they can see, is there something that we could do differently from a procedure to improve the safety of our department.
All right. If the supervisor is taken out of it and it's put on the employee to actually do it, correct me if I'm wrong, is the employee at that time when they file this report, are they being drug tested?
Yes, that's part of OJI.
So-
when an employee goes to the initial doctor's visit is when they get their direct, actually does the test.
So, but somehow are we not leaving the supervisor out of it?
In what regard? And what is your concern in regards to the,
I want to make it streamlined where the employee can get the necessary care that they're going to need.
right?
But also that supervisor at some point is going to need to have some process in this to be a supervisor and to know how to maybe correct some of these problems if they see that problem before and how to actually correct it.
Right. And that kind of speaks to what I had said. Well, what will happen is the employee will send the report in to us, and then we will actually do an outbound call to that supervisor to gather the information where previously they would have just taken a form and filled it out. So the supervisor, as soon as we receive the claim for the employee, we'll do an outbound call, and the supervisor will know immediately, if not already, that there's a claim sitting out there for that department. And then we will ask the questions depending on circumstances so that we can gather all the information that we need to make a claims determination.
So the supervisor's not going to be left out of it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're a vital part of it. Their participation in the program is the same level. It's just a difference in how we're obtaining the information. Before they would fill out the form and send it in, now we are actually going to go out and gather that information from them and take a more proactive part on our end to get the information.
I'm kind of like Commissioner Farley, I mean, I feel like the employee ought to be reporting to his supervisor anytime there's an accident too. And the way this is worded, he's basically reporting to you instead of to his supervisor. So I would suggest that you have him report to both of you.
Well, just go to the next page you have here.
Oh, really? If you go up above where,
Reporting. It addresses that.
if you go up to Rule 2, right above where,
I thought this was a change that was deleting them out of that loop.
But it's,
No, they're
just
still,
one part.
yeah, they're still in the loop. It's just how we receive the initial claim information and kick off the OJI process.
What if, God forbid, one of the employees is incapacitated to file the paperwork, then what do you do? And that's a very real possibility.
Oh, it happens all the time,
I mean,
regularly.
how do you put it in it, now are we gonna honor the employee's claim, or are we gonna, is that when the supervisor comes in and does it for them?
The circumstances on when an employee files a claim, if they're incapacitated, it's not held against them.
Okay.
When you go back and look at rule number 2, it says supervisors must notify or call in the OGI insurance department within 1 working day. So that keeps the supervisor involved by the employee. We've been informed, the supervisor's been informed. If they can't fill out the paperwork, we're not holding that against them in order of that.
I just don't want it to read that way.
But if, now, and I may be wrong here, in this, but if the employee reports it to you all, that supervisor may not know.
well, it says under loss reporting on that next page, that the supervisor must be notified immediately or within the employee's current working shift. So we have that language as well.
Okay, so, and you all are gonna notify the supervisor, or does the employee have to do that?
Well, the employee still needs to notify their supervisor, but in the past, what's been happening is supervisors have sat down and basically rubber stamped whatever the employee tells them, writes it on the supervisor's report and sends it in. And you can take a supervisor's report and an employee's report and look at them side by side, and they almost read word for word the same. So what this happens, an employee will submit their report, then I'll actively get involved with the supervisor and call him back and say, okay, what happened, and ask the questions and get a two-way conversation going, and hopefully create some interest on their part to do a better investigation and understand what's going on
So the
also.
supervisor may not be doing a thorough investigation
Yes,
of what occurred.
Right.
and this is trying to create that awareness with the supervisor. If there's something going on and they need to do a better investigation, then they'll go back and say, oh, well, you know, that does sound kind of funny. Let me check on that for you. Hopefully, that's what we're going to do. I mean, it's trying to go to the next level as far as a way of preventing the injuries or investigating the injuries to see what we can do to prevent the next one from happening.
I can give you an example. If an employee reports that they fell over something in the office, whatever that is, under the process, the way it's written today, the employee would fill that out on the form. They tell their supervisor, I fell over a box in the break room, whatever. Supervisor would report, fell over a box. The way the process will be now, we'll make a phone call out and we'll say, do you know the nature of the accident? Well, the employee told me they fell over the box. Have you gone to see that the box has been removed from the location that the employee identified? So it forces the supervisor to take that next step, not just get the paperwork in, but take some responsibility for the environment in which their employees are in.
Hopefully, when it was reported to the supervisor, hopefully that supervisor took care of it at that time. And-
Hopefully so, but I think this, having it the way that it is will drive an additional awareness and incentive for them to actually go view the actual location and do something.
Okay.
Y'all look into cause analysis on the safety reports? I
We
hadn't
do.
seen your form, so.
We look at the nature of the occurrence and try to identify what could have been prevented. It's actually one of the questions. Is there something that could have been done to offset this particular claim? And that's, it's that analysis that we're speaking to, so that they do take appropriate action to forego any future claims in that same situation.
One other change in this is in the death benefit section. Back in the summer, if you remember, the county put out for bid the life insurance, and we actually got such a good change to the life insurance policy that instead of the general $30,000 that we've been getting, we actually had an increase to $35,000 worth of life insurance for the county employee at I guess it was almost a reduced cost to us. So we were able to get an extra $5,000. in the death benefits, we addressed that, and we had not changed the 30,000 to reflect the new number for 35,000. So what we've done is gone back in and reflect those changes. Now, the changes you see there is no additional money. It's already been approved. It's just a matter of correcting the language to reflect what it is now.
We got a question. Since this OJI has been implemented, we have now got a Rutherford Fire and Rescue Department, which consists of volunteer firefighters. Do they follow on this OJI?
They have their own individual policy. They do follow under OJI, but they also, for AD&D and things of that nature, we have their own policy through Provident that
So
provides them.
actually, that right there would not fall for,
They have the same type of benefits made available to them. It's just a different provider.
okay.
Yeah,
But they are covered as for medical benefits under this program.
correct.
Okay.
The medical treatment is covered under
But
this.
if they were to get,
There's death and AD&D benefits available to volunteers
that they've got it on,
through the Provident, which
Okay.
is the
Who's
insurance
paying the
company.
cost of that?
It's paid for out of Larry's budget.
Does that include them if they get injured on the job? I know when I was a former fire chief, we had a policy where I worked for the city, but if I got injured working
Mhm.
for the volunteer fire department, it would pay me.
It has disability benefits built
Okay.
into it.
I just want to make sure, because
Okay.
nobody's going to volunteer.
I think Larry was on my
And,
doorstep the first day I started in the county about that. We got that taken care of.
okay. Well, I mean, I know them being kind of not, they're actually considered county employees, but they're volunteering.
Correct.
And I want to make sure that somehow, and now that you bring it up, I do remember now.
Yeah, and that's why we can't cover them under our traditional policy, because they don't meet the
Right.
full-time employee status. We had to obtain a separate policy for them.
I know I had all these questions before the meeting, and I told Mr. Good that he needed to put a picture up on the wall back there so we could throw darts at him, you know. But they got a lot of practice explaining it to me to help tonight, and it's much more, understandable. And I can agree with it now.
Is that the only changes that y'all are recommending?
Just only those.
Just what
in
you
red.
see there in those three places marked in red. Yes, sir.
Is there any questions concerning the OJI proposed changes on the document? All right. If there's not, I entertain a motion to approve. Or deny, whichever one you want to do.
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve, do I have a second?
I'll second his motion.
And a second. All right, open it up for discussion. I hear felt some hesitation or something. Is there discussion?
Will it be a phone number that the employees call, or how will they report?
They just contact the insurance department.
Okay.
Y'all are going to do I know there's online training for this. Are y'all going to redo something where all the employees know the procedure?
We will. We're reaching out. We'll set a schedule to go out to the larger departments and make sure that we've got all the training. We'll get it in the hands of the department heads, make sure they're aware of all the changes once it's through full commission. So we'll make sure that we have the training taken care of.
I hate to do this, but I won't. Is there another reason? Has someone not been doing the things they need to do, and where we've had to make that first change as far from the supervisor to the employee? I'm assuming it probably has, because it wouldn't be a change.
Yeah, but it's not one particular person. The supervisors were delayed in getting, meeting the timeline of meeting the criteria of getting documentation into us. And so we were spending a lot of effort calling supervisors, emailing supervisors, need your paperwork, get your paperwork in. And our efforts are best spent in outbound. If we're at the outbound call anyway, let's make it the most productive that it can be. The reason that it was changed was not so much because the supervisors weren't, necessarily always meeting the time frame, but it was for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, which is when you have a form and you ask 5 questions, you're going to get answers to 5 questions. And really, our concern is not just the claim itself. We want to also offset future claims. And that's why I'd given the example about, have you gone and physically seen the site of where the accident occurred, who you made proper adjustments and things like that, so we can do some safety counseling, for lack of a better word. I mean, that's really the main reason why we're taking this approach
So
versus the old
that will
approach.
help. What it would be, Dan could go out with a supervisor and coach that supervisor and to be able to do an investigation and turn around and fix the problem if it's a trip hazard, if it's
Right.
the custodian maybe mopping something and not putting up the sign or
Right.
fixing those is that the reason why?
Yes, so that we can offset, address that claim and offset future claims of the same situation. That's our goal in doing this.
Okay.
And the supervisor's still got to call in notification the next working day to the insurance department. That's
Yeah.
mentioned in 2. Or, and maybe this will happen sometime, that they can be, the department can be responsible for the cost of the injury, is what it says here. If a supervisor gets that on there, I mean, you know, it's a $30,000-$40,000 claim.
Well, I mean,
I think it'll happen too
I
often.
don't- we're paying supervisors to be supervisors, and I'm hesitant sometimes to leave them out of the process because they need to know if one of their personnel is, something's happened or where they can actually, but if we got supervisors that are not doing what they need to be doing, we need to deal with that.
And, you know, you have people that work off shift to their supervisors
Right.
as well, and so that's another consideration. And, you know, it's really not, the changes aren't intended to be punitive to any certain party or group of individuals. It is so that we can affect future claims. I mean, that's the reason that we want to do it.
Well, we can look at this, and if there's anything needs to be changed, we can always change back to or another way or
Right.
what's best.
I mean, this is a working document. You know, we have a responsibility to continually evaluate it and make recommendations to improve the program.
All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any more discussion?
Have you looked into doing some type of online reporting?
Online, I'll let Dan. you got
Well,
something?
we've got the information online, the forms and things like that,
Mhm.
and we've had some people want to be able to fill out the forms from doing it online. Unfortunately, the county has a lot of individuals who do not have access to the computer itself to be able to file the
Right.
report online. I think if we had an online filing, and that's the way we did it, we'd find that a lot of claims would go unreported or would be delayed even longer. So what we want to do is at least have the forms out there so that they can print them off, get them, then they can at least, at best case scenario, to report it, put the individual's name and a little summary of the circumstances, and get it to us by sending it in.
You couldn't do both?
Yeah. Be a whole lot easier for the employee. I've seen an injury, and it, you know, it'd be a whole lot easier if I was gonna fill something out and then send it to my supervisor, and then they could, or not sit, or send it directly to y'all or whatnot, because, you know, handwritten report would be a whole lot more harder to read and whatnot than a typed report from them, and then y'all could forward it back.
And what's going to happen is, because see, the ambulance service and the sheriff department are different departments, you might say. One of them's 24-hour shifts, and the other is open 24 hours. What's going to happen on a Friday night, midnight, early one Saturday morning, we have a sheriff deputy or a paramedic is injured, they're not going to be able to notify this person in a day's time, and, you know, then Monday morning comes around, and then, and I know the 24-hour, I mean, I deal with it every day in my profession. That 24-hour shift or open 24 hours is a different concept.
Well, we accept, as far as notification, even a phone call in to our voicemail.
So they can do
At the
that.
insurance department. And when they call in, all they have to say is, this is so-and-so, I just want to let you know I had an injury on such a day, this is what happened, and leave it in a voicemail. And in fact, I can honestly say I've been notified of that way, of an injury.
Okay, well, we do that too as far as with our department.
And so, you know, again, the online reporting, I mean, we can look at that, but I think the online reporting, I don't want to get so ingrained in people that that's the only way that they think they can do it. We want to make sure that they can also go ahead and file a report, even by handwritten, for those that don't normally have the computer knowledge. And then also, again, just remember, reporting is just notifying us of the injury. It's
Right.
not the actual paperwork, it's when we say reporting. So somebody wants to report a claim, that's what we're looking for.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor, correct, Vicki? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Do I need a approval of my report? Or did we already do that?
Have we done his report?
My motion included everything.
Because I know we approved the resolution.
Not approve the report.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the
moved.
report? A motion and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
We're not feeling very loaded right
All
now.
opposed?
Y'all thought the sheriff's department's long.
You got,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
you got with them?
Yes.
Okay,
I contacted Larry Farley about a respiratory protection for
Yeah.
the fire department. My background's environmental and hazmat, so that's one of my big things. I'm employee-minded, and I know other departments are using respiratory protection. Should we try to maybe look at consolidating all that plan into one or whatnot? Basically, our breathing test we do at the city, the county's gonna have to do that, and they haven't been doing that. And we're gonna have to, I mean, that's something.
well, the county's only had a fire department less than a year.
Well, the SOAR team's been doing hazmat and they have to do it too. If you wear a respirator, you have to do it. Doesn't matter if you're fire, or law enforcement, or EMS. If you wear a respirator, you have to do a medical evaluation. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, and those are expensive claims versus little claims, so I just want to.
Let me tell you where I'm at right now on that. Larry did contact me. I directed him to the county safety program, because we do have a respirator protection program in that, and that's all laid out. I've already given that back to him, directed him to the different steps. I've already contacted 2 of the medical facilities that we use as our initial contact for on-the-job injuries, and both of them are giving me responses back on quotes and things like that for that, and I've got one already, and the other one I was told it would be in later this week, so I'll get those back in. Then I can make that available, and that includes the evaluation of the medical form that the employee fills out, whether or not they need want to say physical, then that includes that. Plus also it involves the respirator breathing test where they actually blow in the machine to do that also. So I've got those coming back in to me.
Okay.
So we're working on that as we talk, so.
And I just, like I said, I just didn't want to make sure these other departments that might not know they were supposed to be doing it too, or knowing they're doing it, need to do it also.
Well, I think,
So-
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Most of the ones that gets us in the problem are those that are wearing the, like a breathing respirator with the cartridges, not a self-contained unit.
Okay.
And so ones that doing the self-contained unit, as you said, with the SOAR team and all, they're all on board and taken care of. Right now, even though we have it, I'm not sure that we have anybody that's really using the cartridge-type respirators in the county. Because the ones that we had, once we've gone and explained to them what the circumstances were, they use it such a little bit on something, like for dust protection or something. Then they said, well, if we've got to do that, we're not even going to get rid of it, that we don't want it. And I've been told that, and they've actually phased those out in other departments, so.
Good deal. I just
I'm
want to.
I'm all over that one, yes, sir.
Good deal. Thank you. I appreciate your work on that.
All right, thank you. All right, Sheriff Department. How y'all doing?
Remember I kept telling you guys it was easy? Not anymore. Fun time's over. But I won't be long, I'll be quick, don't worry.
Are these your originals?
Thank you.
Okay.
We've got 125 employees in the jail.
Use them so much, so often.
Okay.
I didn't know about it.
The amendments are 2 pages tonight, so let me tell you what I did. You know, as I told you about last time, I was going to run the report for payroll and overtime, get down to where we're at ahead of the curve, and run those numbers. It's over $500,000. So what you got in front of you for tonight is some proposed amendments to move some of those funds to take care of some shortages that we're seeing in some other departments that I know we're going to run short on at the end of the year. Also for some issues that have changed on us, which we'll allude to here in a minute. And of course, some of it's also for the repair and maintenance of the building, as we talked about. So that's kind of where we're at. And I'm not moving all the money. I'm just moving some of it, and then we're going to save it just in case I don't know how to add or whatever. So that later on down the road, you know, if we're off, we're short payroll overtime, we still have the funds to be there. But what I did was, we've gone through half the year, and you're basically times 2. It's real easy calculation. This is where we're at. We've already gone through all the comp time buybacks. We've had a whole lot of payouts, a lot of attrition that we had there at the beginning of our term. So that's kind of where we're at. So with that in mind, the first amendment that I've got on the thing, and most of these items came from one of the 2 things. We're only moving money that's in the Sheriff's Department budget to other items in the Sheriff's Department budget, and then only moving money in the jail budget to other items in the jail budget. So I'm not taking any money from one budget to another budget. Okay? What I am doing is I'm pulling funds from overtime and salaries to compensate into the other accounts. Now, there is additional funds available that will be, that are accessory accounts to your overtime and your payroll, which is Social Security, retirement, insurance, Medicare, and things of that nature. We're not pulling funds from that until at a later date. So, except for when I get down to, well, in the jail side, we are going to do that. So I've got a couple there for that. All right. So the first one is it talks about 54110.187, which is going to be the Sheriff's Department's budget. We're going to pull some money out of overtime, $25,000 for in-service training. We're going to use that to send 10 officers to be post-certified. They're $2,500 a piece. And so we're going to add those because we have a lot of new officers, a lot of new faces. So we're going to additional funds. Originally, when the budget, I think, was requested last year, you know, they have a training budget that's set up for that. But we have some more additional officers we'd like to get trained.
You said also where y'all came to us and wanted to, the people that are going out and serving the warrants.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to send those people to
that's part of that
the school. That's wasn't in the money that you asked for last time. So
Yes, sir.
now you're asking for that money.
Correct. We got civil process and also transport division that we are post-certified.
Right.
They drive marked patrol cars, they carry guns.
Yeah, we discussed that last time. We just didn't discuss the money that was going out to get them certified.
When they go, and I think you said 10, are they all going at the same time?
No,
We're
no,
having
that's
this
spread out.
stagger it because
Staff.
we can't lose that many
That's,
people.
well, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking that.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2, uniforms. We, of course, there's additional bodies and stuff like that. We're staying at probably about 98, 99% staffing levels right now. As a position comes up and we've got another body to go in there, so we're going through some uniforms. In addition to that, we're going to, for OJI regulations, to kind of help us out on that, we're going to switch to cotton poly instead of polyester. The main thing being, these officers are required by law to go help a victim in a burning vehicle. They're wearing polyester uniforms. That stuff will melt right into their skin. The cotton poly uniforms are a little more expensive, so we're compensating for that. That was not requested for in the original budget.
And right now, the way that I understand it and the way several other people have understood it, the OJI stuff does not want to cover us if we are, if our uniforms catch on fire and we're doing something, because it's not in our job description. So we're trying to go to another uniform that won't catch on fire.
So that's what those funds are for.
Does cotton poly not burn or melt?
It doesn't, it's not like these will just, the others they'll just kind of burn little holes or something like that, like cotton would.
So you're gonna have to change the whole uniform to cotton.
Over time, we're gonna slowly start stepping it in, but we've gotta start doing it now. I asked the people when the county brought out or the state came out and did our inspections, I asked them that question, because it's been something that we've asked for a long time, we never could get an answer. And they said it wasn't really a requirement, but yet it was a safety thing. And so, you know, I've seen several officers go out to house fires and stuff and come back and little holes all in their uniform from little ambers in the air, stuff like that. And I've actually been on a couple of car scene fires where people have ended up dying, and, you know, where we've been trying to work with them to get them out and stuff like that, and the uniforms all melted. Luckily, they hadn't caught on fire, but.
But it's in the OGI that we wouldn't cover the employee?
That was our interpretation of an email when I asked the question.
Let's follow through on that to be sure what they're telling us on that. I haven't
Okay.
heard about that, but we will
Reason I
make a
say-
note of that.
Okay, well, I mean, the reason I'm
But
saying
in
it'd
the
be,
event, what he's telling us, these are safer. No
These are
question
safer.
about that.
Right.
But I think if one of our employees gets injured, regardless of what they're wearing, it's a uniform we've furnished, it's our responsibility.
Wow.
Go on the next one.
all right.
And I'll have to retract my earlier statement. We are moving money to a different budget. The next one is the 54-110-189 salaries. We're going to move 100,000 out of that to the repair maintenance of the building. Of course, I think when you guys come out for the tour, you saw several projects we're working on. So,
So
we've already started doing some building.
So we're taking out of salaries in the law enforcement budget,
Mhm.
100,000.
And
Put it in
moving it
maintenance.
to the jail maintenance side.
One thing we've also discovered within our visitation lobby with this last cold weather, all the tile are buckling and popping up from the floor. So we're going to have to replace all the flooring in the visitation lobby.
I have to credit our maintenance guy, James Bailey. He's doing a wonderful job. Every project we've given him, he's come in under budget. Some of them, we're working on an expansion project where we've moved those glass walls out with the visitation area. We were originally allotted, I think, over $25,000, and he's come in a little over $8. So he's doing pretty good. So it's working out really good so far. So this 100 grand is probably going to go a lot further than we think.
Well, I'm glad to see y'all do that, but have y'all ran that past Lisa, just to make sure we're not gonna have any headaches out of
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're going to hear it. He and I are going to hear it again. That's what I-
We just ran the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
His job
It's the same
depends on
question.
it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're going to move some money out of the salaries account just to put into other supplies and maintenance. Same thing for number 5 is moving some additional funds into office supplies, just beefing up some of those accounts. Okay. On to the, let's see, number 6. Out of the detention side, what we've run into is we're going to move, I'm over on the salary side. However, 15 minutes we're having to pay the officers for roll call every day is causing an overtime issue. So I'm shorting the overtime budget. So I'm going to move funds to compensate for that in the overtime side on the detention area.
And this is something Regina did every year. Yeah, whenever it came about this
Yeah.
time, we
Yeah.
always had to move it
I heard
over.
about it.
Yeah. So,
Overlap.
yeah, and I'm trying to come up with some ideas to try and fix that in the future. So I'm working on it. But this is where we are today. The next one is a 54-110 salaries to the 718 account, new vehicles. This is to install equipment on a surveillance van.
We have
We've got the van,
we have the equipment, we just gotta put it all together. And it's a very technical type equipment, so Jim and I, it's gonna cost. So we need to get these 2 pieces of equipment put together so we can start using them and the different things that our CID does.
We go back to something, on the 15 minutes,
Yes, sir.
we were paying before, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Several years now.
Yeah.
About
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why every year that they've been short. I understand that the overtime in the detention area has always been an issue. I don't know why, so I'm gonna fix that next
But
budget, we hope.
we were audited
Was that
a year or 2 ago, and we were out of compliance, so we had to We had to catch all that up and change those processes so
Okay,
that
okay.
we wouldn't be out of compliance again.
Okay.
That's when the county ended up paying out all that overtime.
That's right.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
EEOC.
that's right, that's right. I remember that now.
Okay, let's see where we're at, number 8, 5410.201, Social Security, that is on the, Sheriff's Department side, and we're gonna move it to extraditions on the jail side. Now, it's only 10,000, all these accounts, of course, since we're not gonna be needing as much money in the payroll and the overtime, then you've got additional funds left over in all these other accounts as well, which account for another probably $100-something thousand. So I'm not moving, but just small portions of what I've got available. So, the extraditions account, what we understand is the history always runs short every year. So we're going to go ahead and beef that up now, so I don't have to come back and harass you for it next time. So the next meeting, I can come in 1 or 2 and I'm done around the
Got
door.
too many people that run to California is what it is.
Well, I just went
I
out
think
to
we got one in
California.
Alaska.
We've got one in Alaska we're gonna have to go get, and there's 2 in Europe we may have to go get, so.
I bet that breaks your heart, doesn't it?
The one for Europe, we had to send 4 officers.
Yeah.
Normally, we get reimbursed from the other.
Yeah, it's assessed back in the court fines and fees, and so with the judge, we submit all the receipts and they ask for it back.
Then we're gonna pull a few funds for number 9, a few more funds out of Social Security to put into the jail side, other supplies and materials.
Let me ask a question on
Yes,
that
sir.
extradition.
Yes, sir.
Do they look at the cost versus benefit?
That would be
If
the,
there's a, it all depends on what the person done.
if there's a warrant, we have to go get them, and
You do?
if the judges and them decide that
Judges,
they want,
DA.
yeah, the district
Yeah.
attorney decides he wants to prosecute,
They gotta
Yeah,
go.
that
they go pick
decision's
them
not
up.
ours.
Yeah.
We're instructed. to do
Okay.
that.
yeah, it's one of those mandated things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't want somebody going to Europe and over,
Yeah, there's another unfunded mandate.
Go to Europe for
Yeah,
work.
the judge and the DA aren't going to give it back to us. That is a-
No, but I'm pretty sure, I know in the past, there's been, a lot of our warrants say we won't extradite out of Hawaii or Alaska. This one that we're looking at doing, we won't.
Okay.
Number 10, moving that just out of the employee insurance, there's quite a few funds in there, and I'm going to move that to the prisoner clothing and bedding. That's an item that she runs short on every year, and so basically I'm hitting you guys up for all this tonight, doing it all at one time. We're going ahead and doing this now, because these are, I went to all the department supervisors and to Rosemary Jacobs, who kind of advised me on some of these as well, saying what accounts do we normally run short in? Can I go ahead and head off some of this at the pass? And that's what we're doing tonight, so.
Yeah, it's usually a little bit later in the budget year,
Yeah.
normally when
Yeah.
it's been done before.
Yeah.
Just coming to you a little bit early.
Yeah, just come a little early, but we are ahead on our schedule. I've run the numbers and gone over them like 25, 30 different times. and so-
His job depends on it.
Yeah.
Well, at
So-
least it's money you have somewhere.
We have somewhere, yes, sir.
It's not to run a program.
Yeah, I'm not pulling it from general fund. We've got the money allocated to us so far.
All right, is there any questions on the 10 items? And if it's okay with the committee, we'll do all 10 at one time. Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Make a
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. All right, discussion. Hearing or seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner King?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
All right, I got one more thing for you.
You should get one of those.
You have another one?
I don't know if I did. No, I'm
Sure.
sure. Yeah, sorry.
I want to
I made 10 copies. Yeah.
All right, these are, just wanted to let you know, some changes we're doing. A couple of these are because we have the warrants officers and transport officers that are moving into a certified position. So all of our certified positions are pay grade 5. So we're slowly moving them as we're heading them off to the academy like we do everyone else to the pay grade 5s. We also have 3 supervisors that have not been getting, they've been getting corporal pay and not sergeant pay. So we are moving them to that. And then also we have 3 detectives that have been, for one reason or another, in the detective division, doing detective work, doing cases in federal court and traveling the country with some of the DEA stuff and all that, but they were still being paid deputy pay instead of detective pay. So we are changing these salaries around to get them in line to where they are at. So I just
This is covering some payroll inequities that we got, and I have reviewed these numbers. The number at the bottom, 23,000 that you have, that's the annual impact of this increase. So, you know, with what we're changing over anyway, with most of the people that we've changed over so far, this is not going to impact us that much.
So like, for example, these 3 bottoms, are they going into ICE, or they're?
No, they've been ICE officers
They've been there the
for
whole
years.
time.
But they've been out on the interstate doing their job as a detective, but they've only been getting road deputy pay. They are assigned to the detective division. They work federal cases. You know, there's times where in the middle of the day, they'll bust somebody, and the DA will adopt it, and they're on an airplane heading to California following the drugs and stuff like that. So they're doing these types of investigations, but they haven't been getting, you know, paid for it.
So you've had an SRO, you had a person acting as an SRO but not being paid for it?
He was at SRO, but he was just being paid as an SRO, which is a pay grade 6, but he was a sergeant, so which is a pay grade 7.
Wow.
So he wasn't being compensated for what he's been, or what he was.
The other thing is that 23,000 does not count Medicare and insurance.
Well, no,
The insurance would be the same, I guess,
Yeah,
but the
insurance-
Medicare and
they're
Social
already
Security.
employees. It's just putting them in line to where for the job that they do, that they get compensated just like everybody else.
You said this was 23,000 was annual impact, so would it actually be half of that for the remaining of this year?
That's correct.
Correct.
So we're only looking at
$12,000.
$12,000 increase, okay.
And it's already, it's
Till the
within-
next budget year, gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what I was-
already in the money that we are allocated, so we made sure of that whenever we were doing this.
I think that's all we got.
That's all we got.
Just gonna bring up
Another thing, just to let you know, as of tonight, we have started doing our blood draws for DUI cases at the jail.
Great.
We have started, whenever a inmate is brought in, or if a person is taken into custody and brought into our jail, Dr. Rudd's office, who does our inmate medical care, he is now within 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the most, seeing that person as they're brought into jail, instead of waiting sometimes a day or so to get their screenings and evaluations. But also, we set them up an office within booking, and they're also, besides doing the screening, they also, for DUIs, they'll be drawing blood for our officers. Right now, it's a trial thing for us, but it does not cost the county right now any money. We are working on some things about trying to recoup some money, but we're going to have to go to our state legislatures to kind of help adopt some legislation on that. But it will also save us tons in lawsuits, because as soon as they walk in the door, let's say Murfreesboro City brings in somebody and they're limping really bad, and come to find out they have a gunshot wound to their leg, and they're trying to kind of hide it from us. We're, not for sure. That medical person can catch it right there. Instead of us taking custody of that person, we can say, no, take them back to the ER. And so therefore, it falls back on whatever jurisdiction that arrested that person. It does not fall on the sheriff's office to take care of that medical responsibility. It has been in the past, different agencies kind of, see you later.
Did you raise your hand, Mayor?
I just want a point of clarification here from the sheriff. Dr. Rudd is not charging us anything for this service yet. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct. That's
Because
correct.
this is not part of his original contract.
It's not part of his original contract.
So.
It is going to be charging for
Is
it
there a
in the
probability that
future
he's
time.
going to be charging us for this at some point?
And
So
probably
anyway.
in his next, because it comes up for renewal this year, he'll probably add it in there, but in the long run, It will save the county money by him catching them at the door as they're walking in the door, instead of them catching them a day later as they're already sitting in the ER accruing costs to us.
I understand that part of it. I just want to be sure that he's not providing the service that we're paying him for until we get an agreement
Yes.
worked out with him, because we don't have one right now.
We're correct.
Now, you said something about getting with the state legislatures. Now, we made a steering on that with them. The 17th of February is their deadline for implementing new legislation, and you might want to
Get with you.
get with them by then, that way, because
Yeah.
something in the hopper kind of.
Yeah, it takes a minute. We're doing
I hear it's going to be a
something.
busy legislature this year.
Yes, we're doing something right now that no other department in the state is doing. We've checked with legal, and basically we might be the test for it for the entire state. Who knows, sheriff's departments may start adopting this here before long, because it's going to save us money man-hours wise, because right now, if I go out and I arrest somebody on a DUI, as you're sitting there with them, you're filling out your paperwork, but then you have to go to the ER. You've got to sit at the ER and wait till they come around to draw the blood.
Plus, it's just you and
Yeah.
the person who's.
It's just you and the arrestee. And so then when you leave there, you've got to go to the sheriff's office, take them in, book them in, then go over and get your warrant. And, it may take you 2 hours before you're available again. With this, you just, from the time you leave the car, you go to the jail, walk in that door. Takes maybe 5 minutes, then you're over at the booking table, you get your warrant, you're back out the door. It may save an hour's worth of time.
It'll put the deputy back in patrol.
Put the
a whole lot
deputy back
quicker.
out on the
Plus, it's more
street.
secure.
Yeah, it's a more secure environment. You're not taking them into the hospital and having to depend on, if something happens, the security guard that they have, on staff.
Are you able to test the samples also?
No, we have to, by law, send them to TBI. That's the rule.
On this here, I know you have some authority as far as implementing some of this stuff. Is this something here that you need us to act on tonight?
No, I'm just letting you know what I've done.
Okay.
That's all I need to do.
Right.
Yes, it's just something within the budget.
Right.
We learned last time. We start here first.
Thank you for your time. That's all we're
All right.
doing.
Thank you. Yes,
Quick
sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
This is your January, December activity report, okay? Been holding it since, and I'm just looking from September, okay? And I see that the total miles driven are 198,000, 184,000, 180, 169. Okay, they're less than what they were in the previously, okay? My question is what, are you having patrols sit at, conspicuous places or something, or is it, well, I'm just talking in a month's time, I don't know if y'all know, but in a month's time, well, compared, you're about
Well, I know that
30,000 less miles some months than it was ever before.
We've had a lot of snow these past couple months, and so you hadn't as much patrol going on either.
Well,
So that cuts down on it quite a bit.
Well,
Well, no, I think,
October.
one, with new staff coming on, stuff like that, you have a lot more people that are doubled up, in the training program, because of the change in administrations and stuff like that, so that could be one reason. That's not the only way I know how to explain that. But I'll have you some better
Okay.
information.
But I don't know,
Find
you can have this one because you can see you had the whole year on it, and it just started all over, well, I'm saying since September, it started coming out less miles driven. And it's gas going up.
Gas is going up.
And all that, it amounts to something.
So that's one thing we're gonna look at next year too.
All right. We need to approve their report.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is that all
Thank you
y'all-
very much.
That's all we got.
Thank you.
Finally go home.
You're gonna get us a date.
Kate,
I will call him tomorrow and I'll give him.
If you'll, between, before noon, if you would, because tomorrow afternoon, I'm tied up all tomorrow afternoon.
I will do that.
I'll be
Well,
with
as soon as we,
Mayor Burgess all tomorrow.
I'll do that. I've got to, we'll get to the sheriff's office early in the morning. I've got to go down to Nashville and meet with Sheriff Hall in the morning. And as we head down there, or when we're heading back, I'll give you a call.
Okay, all right. Is there any other business come before the committee? Yes, Mayor?
But what you were talking about that budget, you know, if we do him at the March regular meeting, probably is okay. So, I mean, he can decide if he wants to do it
Oh,
early.
yeah, we can do it. I mean, we'll just make that if you want to do the
All
March
right.
14th.
No, well, the March.
It's a 20-something.
Well,
28th.
Actually, the March, the 28th, which is, would be our regular scheduled meeting.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay,
Solves that problem.
all right,
We'll be ready, because I believe we have to come see you
Yeah,
before
that gives us a
that.
little bit more time.
okay.
That's a good idea.
All right, that'll work.
That'll work. Thank y'all.
Is it any other business come for the committee?
Yeah, I've got one thing. I've gotten a couple phone calls, and one from a Paul's volunteer, being that our director's retiring, and another from just a resident, and they were, I guess, looking at, we have a vet position that we haven't ever filled with Paul's, and maybe looking at making the vet position and bumping that pay up to be the director, and then hiring a assistant director under that, and then for even money. And it wouldn't cost the county any more, and then we'd actually fill that position, because no vet's gonna work for what we're trying to pay them. And if you bump the vet pay up to be the director pay, and lower it and created an assistant director for even money where the vet position was, the vet would actually be the director, and we could get somebody. I mean, that's just an idea that was brought to me, and it makes sense, because it wouldn't cost us a dime more. I mean, the money's there. And you might have.
We've had that suggested, and we've thought about that a bit more, maybe not as much as we should have. There's two whole different sets of mentalities here with respect to this vet, and it's a matter of philosophy. I mean, most vets are in the healing process, and we're in the animal shelter collection process. It's a different kind of thought process on if they want to participate. We think that's the bigger issue. But yes, that's a reasonable idea if we didn't have the philosophical issue about do they want to really devote their practice to a different type of practice from which they were trained. And that's what we've run into. So I'm not sure I'm really right about all that, quite honestly, but that's where we sort of are.
You might give Madison, Alabama a call, Huntsville, and that's the way they're set up, their animal shelter there. They have a veterinarian that's a director. Have had for quite a few years.
Any more discussion? Any other business? Hearing or seeing none, we stand adjourned. Thank y'all.